Once upon a time, in a small city called Salzburg in Austria, there was a little boy named Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. He was born on January the 27th, 1756. Mozart was a very special boy, because he loved music more than anything else in the world. His father, Leopold Mozart, was a musician and taught music to rich people. His mother, Anna Maria, loved her son very much and always supported him. Mozart grew up in a house full of music. His father played the violin and the piano, and he often practiced at home. Mozart had an older sister named Maria Anna, but everyone called her Nanner. Nanner was also very good at playing the piano. When Mozart was just 3 years old, he would sit and watch his father teach Nanner how to play. He loved listening to the beautiful sounds of the piano. One day, when Mozart was 4 years old, he asked his father, "Papa, can I play the piano too?" His father smiled and said, "Of course, my little boy. Let me teach you." Leopold was surprised because Mozart learned very quickly. In just a few days, Mozart could play small pieces of music. His father was very proud of him. By the time Mozart was 5 years old, he could not only play the piano, but also the violin. He started composing his own music. Composing means creating new music. One day, Mozart wrote a small piece of music and showed it to his father. Leopold was amazed. He couldn't believe that his little son could write music at such a young age. Mozart's family realized that he was a genius. A genius is someone who is very, very smart and talented. Leopold decided to take Mozart and Nanner on a trip to show their talents to the world. They traveled to many cities in Europe, like Vienna, Paris, and London. Everywhere they went, people were amazed by Mozart's talent. They called him the Wonder Child. Traveling in those days was not easy. There were no cars or airplanes. They had to travel in carriages, which were slow and uncomfortable. Sometimes they had to stay in small, cold rooms. But Mozart didn't mind because he loved playing music for people. He performed in front of kings, queens, and other important people. Everyone clapped and cheered for him. One of the most exciting moments in Mozart's life was when he played for Empress Maria Theresa in Vienna. The Empress was very kind and gave Mozart a beautiful gold watch. Mozart was so happy that he kept the watch with him everywhere he went. When Mozart was 12 years old, he wrote his first opera. An opera is a play where the actors sing instead of speaking. The opera was called La Finta Semplice, which means the pretend simpleton. It was a big success, and people loved it. Mozart was becoming famous all over Europe. But life was not always easy for Mozart. Even though he was famous, his family didn't have a lot of money. They had to work hard to earn enough to live. Mozart's father was always looking for new opportunities for his son to perform and earn money. As Mozart grew older, he continued to write music. He wrote symphonies, which are long pieces of music for an orchestra. An orchestra is a group of musicians who play different instruments together. He also wrote concertos, which are pieces of music where one instrument, like the piano or violin, plays with an orchestra. Mozart loved to experiment with different styles of music. He was always trying new things and creating beautiful melodies. Melodies are the tunes that you hum or sing. Some of his most famous works include Eine kleine Nachtmusik, A Little Night Music, and The Magic Flute, which is another opera. Mozart had many friends who were also musicians. One of his best friends was Joseph Haydn, a famous composer. Haydn was older than Mozart, but they respected each other's work. Haydn once said, "Mozart is the greatest composer I know." But not everyone was kind to Mozart. Some people were jealous of his talent. One of his rivals was a man named Antonio Salieri. Salieri was also a composer, but he was not as talented as Mozart. Some people say that Salieri was so jealous that he tried to make life difficult for Mozart. But this is just a story, and no one knows if it is true. In the last years of his life, Mozart worked very hard. He wrote some of his most beautiful music during this time. But he was also very tired and often sick. He didn't have much money, and he was worried about his family. Mozart had a wife named Constance, and they had 2 children. He loved his family very much, and wanted to take care of them. Mozart's health got worse, and he died on December 5, 1791. He was only 35 years old. It was a very sad day for the world of music. Mozart was buried in a simple grave, and no one knows exactly where it is. But his music lives on. Even though Mozart died young, he left behind a lot of music. He wrote over 600 pieces of music, including operas, symphonies, and concertos. Today, people all over the world still listen to his music. It is played in concerts, on the radio, and even in movies. Mozart's music is special because it is full of emotion. It can make you feel happy, sad, or excited. Some people say that Mozart's music is like a conversation between the instruments. Each instrument has its own voice, and together they create a beautiful harmony. Mozart is important because he showed the world that music is a universal language. It doesn't matter where you come from or what language you speak. Everyone can understand and enjoy music. Mozart's music is loved by people of all ages, from children to grandparents. Mozart also showed us that it's important to follow your dreams. He loved music more than anything else, and he worked hard to become the best composer he could be. Even when life was difficult, he never gave up. Mozart's life was like a beautiful piece of music. It had high notes and low notes, but in the end, it was a masterpiece. He may have lived a long time ago, but his music is still alive today. Every time someone listens to one of his pieces, they are reminded of the little boy from Salzburg who loved music more than anything else in the world. So, the next time you hear a beautiful melody, think of Mozart. Remember the little boy who became one of the greatest composers of all time. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be inspired to follow your own dreams, just like he did.